Why Taylor Swift is the greatest artist of the decade. Swift demonstrated her songwriting prowess early on, and her music only continued to get stronger all the way through her 2019 album, Lover. Taylor Swift knows that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. While the casual observer may see Swift as nothing more than a pop star, she's one of the few people who has actively been making her industry, and the lives of her fans, better in irreversible and notable ways throughout the decade. And with the release of Speak Now, in late 2010, Swift proved she wasn't capable of just reinventing optimistic love stories, she had a complete grasp on heartbreak and pain, too. Speak Now is an entirely self-written album that charted on the Billboard Hot 200 for 137 weeks, which was not only a huge middle finger to critics who claimed Swift didn't write her own music, but also proof she was one of the most promising songwriters of her generation. Swift dropped her pop masterpiece, 1989, in 2014, an album that boasts her biggest Billboard Hot 100 hit to date, Shake It Off, which stayed on the chart for 50 consecutive weeks. 1989 also earned Swift another Album of the Year win at the Grammys, making her the first woman to ever be honored with that award twice. Then, capping off the decade came 2019's Lover, an album that showcased all of Swift's immense musical talents, but stands out in her catalog as the first album that she outright owns, a triumph that goes far beyond the music itself. It's important to note, though, that there is no singular album that can easily be delegated as the fan favorite, largely because each album is so special within Swift's discography. While Red is known for being critically beloved, and is my own personal favorite, Billboard had 6 of its writers argue for one of her first 6 studio albums as being her best. One of the reasons Swift's fans constantly latched onto her music this decade, leading to her chart-topping dominance, was because her lyrics always felt so personal, yet relatable at the same time. A post shared by Taylor Swift, @TaylorSwift, on December 29, 2018 at 9:52 a.m. Stec 29, 2018 at 9:52 a.m. PST. Hearing Swift weave in intimate details about listening to her ill-fated lover's mother tell stories about his childhood or leaving her scarf at his sister's house might seem too specific to reach a larger audience outside of her piano room, but it's exactly that candor that makes Swift's best songs feel so ubiquitous. The phrases from her testimony, "I'm critical of your client sticking his hand under my skirt and grabbing my A, and I'm not going to let you or your client make me feel in any way that this is my fault," will forever be ingrained in Swift's fans' minds alongside the lyrics she wrote in her high school diaries. It's easy to look at a statistic and not think about the people behind it, but I can say that for myself, Swift played a pivotal role in how I viewed my own sexual assault. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm not the only one who saw their own pain reflected in Swift's lyrics, allowing them to grieve. But underneath all of the misogynistic, she's only out for money criticisms spat at her, you'll find she did those things to bring light to issues within her industry that hurt up-and-coming artists who don't have the millions of dollars that Swift has. A post shared by Taylor Swift, @TaylorSwift, on November 19, 2018 at 7:37 a.m. Slov 19, 2018 at 7:37 a.m. PST. That means that with her contract, Swift made sure other favorite artists of this decade, like Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande, and Kanye West, will benefit from the revenue their art brings in. It's hard to imagine today's pop stars like Ariana Grande would be able to name-check their former lovers in songs like Thank You, Next, and have them be the successful hits we know today if Swift hadn't previously crafted breakup songs like 2010's Dear John and 2014's Style that made it clear who the tracks were about, John Mayer and Harry Styles, right there in the titles. Halsey, another artist who rose to prominence this decade, has even lionized Swift as one of her songwriting heroes, notably for her smart bridges. As Taylor Swift, she writes the best ones in history, Halsey said in a November 2019 interview with Capital FM.